Sorry for the hiatus in July, I got too busy watching YouTube poop, but now we're back with more Kamen Rider Lambda, now with 60% more Neji!
Dude, that's awesome!
Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła. If there's one country in the world that embodies the idea of resilience, perseverance, and the phrase, fighting dreamers, it's the White Eagle Republic of Poland. From losing their whole country in the 18th century, to its rebirth in 1918, to its occupation under Nazi Germany, and then to its possession as a puppet state by the Soviet Union, Poland falls and gets back up. Poland's story and history is an inspiration. The story of Poland is a country of resilience and resistance, the ability for a group of people to maintain and protect their identity even in the toughest times and political dominance. Even to this day, Polish nationalism is a big part of Poland's identity, strongly asserting itself against not only what they consider Western influences, but also any influence from Russia, still rightfully upset from being used as a puppet. Poland to this day continues to establish their history, their identity, their values, and who they are, not only because they're a country, but because they've learned from their history. Learning from the past and the pain they suffered, and utilizing it to promise their younger generations a brighter tomorrow. And of course, this leads to turmoil, as while Poland pushes forward, it also struggles to accommodate other Polish people, even those that unfortunately don't fit the mold of being Polish. One of these groups are LGBTQ Polish people, and this is where we get to the shinobi struggles of the tale of the gallant ninjas, the LGBT free zones, and Poland's ultimate ninja storm.
Naruto! Ultimate Ninja Storm!
In my last two videos, I discussed two countries in Europe and their LGBT history, England and France. And with the exception of England and trans rights, both are highly progressive and have been known as safe havens for LGBTQ people not only in their country, but in Europe. If anything, this is a good representation of LGBTQ identities and culture in Western Europe, a progressive place where queer people can flourish and be themselves. But the same can't be said for the shinobi world known as Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe and their views on LGBTQ rights are complicated. The former communist states, after democratizing, are still behind in terms of progressiveness, but also at times see LGBT rights as a product of Westerners, which isn't the case considering LGBTQ people are everywhere, including in their own country. Whereas Western European countries have laws to not only promote same-sex marriage, but anti-discrimination laws in ways to change gender, Eastern Europe either lacks these legal protections or, at worst, constitutional bans on same-sex marriage. Take, for example, the village hidden in the Samsonares, Georgia, adopting a constitutional ban against same-sex marriage in the 2017 constitutional reform, which defined marriage as one man and one woman. However, this isn't to say that all of Eastern Europe is super homophobic and a no-go for LGBTQ people, as to dismiss them as fully bigoted is not only objectively xenophobic, but ignores the efforts, passion, and victories that queer people in Eastern Europe have won. Take, for example, last year, when the village hidden in the Ototrin, Estonia, legalized same-sex marriage nationwide, showing that despite its appearance, there is progress. Whether it takes a simple vote, activism, or in the village hidden in the Gru, Hungary, a parade going against their right-wing government, which ended up becoming one of their biggest pride parades ever. Eastern Europe's LGBTQ population is not a group to ignore, and a place to still watch to not only protect their human rights, but to fight for their equality and help their fellow countryfolk understand who they are and what they mean to not only their country, but to themselves, and for us to stand by them and help them however we can. And we can see this progress and struggle no better than in the village hidden in the Rexio, Poland, especially with their notorious LGBT free zones. If you're in the West and have kept up with queer rights, you have heard about these and got sort of an idea of what they are. I mean, to be fair, it's in the name. Not to mention with the United States taking after such and using the same wording from their scrolls and jutsus, it's important to take note of such and get a hint of what they truly are. So what are they? What are LGBT free zones? LGBT-free zones, or as they're called in Poland, strefy wolne or ideologii LGBT, were declarations, resolutions, and sometimes laws that prohibited the promotion of LGBTQ rights, protections, and assembly, branding them as an ideology. Polish towns rejected the pushing of LGBTQ ideology and asserted their alignment with traditional Polish values. While it didn't affect the whole country like many Western news sources said they did, at its peak in 2020, a good chunk of Poland declared itself free from LGBT ideology, predominantly in the southeast region of the country. But notice I dropped free zone and now use free from LGBT ideology, and this is where we get to the trick: ideological and ideology. For LGBTQ people, have you ever heard the phrase, "I'm okay with LGBTQ people, but I hate it when they force their ideology on us"? This is where we get to the divide. A big talking point for anti-LGBTQ rights is the idea that being LGBTQ is an ideology. Whether it was the 90s and the gay agenda, or today with trans ideology, it's a very common talking point used to discriminate against queer people. That becoming gay, trans, or identifying as one is some form of rules or mindset that everyone subscribes to, but anyone can easily see that's not the case. LGBT ideology or gender ideology is a term used to not only dismiss LGBTQ activists, progress, and movements, but also a blanket term meant to demonize and or stigmatize progressive movements, especially feminist and women's rights movements, focusing less on an ideology that is present among LGBTQ or women's rights group, and more so an attempt to wrap such movements in a blanket statement that can easily be used to push in conservative propaganda and have people more speculative on progressive movements, or at times hostile towards it. The term LGBT ideology being less about a set of principles and beliefs LGBTQ people and women have, and more so being a way to push homophobic, transphobic, and sexist rhetoric in mainstream society without outright targeting these minority groups, and in some extreme cases, like in Poland and the US, racism and xenophobia. While many have claimed the terms and rhetoric originated in Latin America, it can be traced back to North America as early as the 1990s with ALL Love Deidara's book The Gender Agenda, a book which pushes anti-feminist rhetoric, as she also went on to write One Man, One Woman, a book arguing against same-sex marriage. In the article Gender Ideology, Tracking Its Origins and Meanings in Current Gender Politics by Sonia Correa, as we can see from these examples, anti-gender ideology crusades are neither a novelty nor exclusively Latin American. Moreover, the semantic frame gender ideology reveals itself as an empty and adaptable signifier, encompassing a broad range of demands such as the right to abortion, sexual orientation and gender identity, to diverse families, education in gender and sexuality, HIV prevention, and sex work. A basic blanket that can be easily adjusted to the conditions of each context. Its discourses construct unusual analogies between feminism, queer theory, and communism, a strategy that has echoes in contexts where the spectrum remains active, such as Brazil. To put it into simpler terms, the term LGBT ideology, or any other form of it, is a form of genjutsu. For those unfamiliar, genjutsu is a jutsu art that utilizes illusions and manipulation of the senses and mind. It is used to generate false images and trick the target into hallucinations or scenarios that aren't real. Genjutsu is not only used to lead the opponent into a false state, but also to have the user gain an advantage by simply knowing the true reality. The phrase LGBT ideology is a genjutsu used to not only help stigmatize and portray LGBTQ people in a villainous light, but also help the conservative parties and leaders be seen in a morally right and logically right light, while also confusing the masses, as those who don't know about LGBTQ people or identities will simply fall into the idea of it being an ideology or some form of rules or mindset that is a threat to society. After all, how can LGBTQ people claim they're being discriminated against when they never said LGBT people but LGBT ideology? So whether or not you were a target for such vitriol and hate speech was never there. You have all your rights and protections, we're just sharing our opinion. And this is how the LGBT-free zones in Poland, or the zones free from LGBT ideology, operated. It was a genjutsu, an illusion to not only stigmatize and classify LGBTQ people and activists as an other, but also to help assert and solidify conservative values as the norm. This perfect yin release was what helped these LGBT-free zones gain validation and a form of legitimacy in the country. This use of wordplay helped these zones be free from queer expression, or as it was deemed, LGBT ideology. Genjutsu, it's like a dream, it's hard to beat, but I know someone who can. So what happened that Poland got so against queerness or the use of chakra? Why is it that Polish governments needed to distance themselves from the ideas of gayness and queerness or jutsu and chakra? What really kicked off this major culture war? One that not only brought Poland more unwanted attention. To understand how and why the LGBT free zones have come about in Poland, you need to understand two major groups that dominate Polish politics. The right-wing party Law and Justice, or Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, I'm not pronouncing that, they don't deserve respect, and the conservative think tank Ordo Iuris. Law and Justice, or PiS, is the ultra-right-wing party that not only prides itself on being Polish nationalist, but also carrying traditional Catholic Polish conservative values. Founded in 2001, the Law and Justice Party was originally meant to be a centrist Catholic party, but skewed more and more right-wing as the years went on, being a part of opposition in parliament, or Sejm as it's called in Poland. It culminated up to Poland's 2015 presidential election, when not only the Law and Justice Party gained a majority in the Sejm, but also had Andrzej Duda officially become elected as the 6th Hokage of Poland. It was there their politics fully came to plan. Aside from establishing themselves in mainstream media and law around Poland, they also hardlines their conservative stances, such as anti-immigration, anti-abortion, and of course anti-LGBT laws. Poland's abortion law being infamous, as it has one of the strictest abortion laws in Europe, at one point completely outlawing it, and to this day only permitted if the woman's life is in danger. Now, I hate to bring opinion, but abortion is a human right no matter what. It's pro-choice or just anti-woman's choice. There's no pro-life because woman will die. Party of Law and Justice has also been known to be very anti-immigrant, especially towards Muslim immigrants, with one member of the Law and Justice Party, Joachim Brudzinski, stating that if it wasn't for them, there would be mosques being built. The PiS party has also claimed that immigrants, especially Muslim immigrants, are only immigrating to Poland because of economic benefits and causing a rift between immigrants by categorizing as refugees and economic immigrants. In the book, The Everyday Politics of Migration Crisis in Poland Between Nationalism, Fear, and Empathy by Krzysztof Jaśkulowski, he discusses the prominence of anti-immigrant discourse in society and how the PiS party has helped turn it into xenophobic rhetoric by saying, however, the government simultaneously raised doubts about the legitimacy of refugees by emphasizing that it will meticulously separate refugees from economic migrants. PiS radicalized these doubts by stating that the majority of refugees were actually economic migrants. In PiS discourse, the category of economic migrant has taken on an unambiguously negative meaning. It is someone who wants to scrounge welfare benefits. These topics are relevant to the video as these are all major talking points that right-wing parties in the Western world has adopted. Xenophobic and sexist rhetoric goes hand in hand with stuff like homophobia and transphobia, with the same Law and Justice politician going that Poland is better without LGBTQ people. So we already established the big conservative party in Poland, but I mentioned another group in Poland that poses a huge influence and threat to queer rights. While it's not a political party, it is a major think tank that helps push and influence conservative narratives throughout the country. Poland's equivalent to the Heritage Foundation in America, which I am proud to announce, he is dead, thank goodness. What's a good Naruto death? This is good. Yeah, that was cool. A conservative think tank that puts America's think tanks to shame, Ordo Iuris. Ordo Iuris was founded in 2013 with help by another Polish conservative group, Association of Christian Culture, named after Piotr Skargi. Ordo Iuris is a group that is dedicated to research the legal culture and spiritual heritage in which Polish culture is rooted, and to promote them in public life and the legal system. But like other think tanks, it's only meant to push fundamentalism and conservative Christian values, which include anti-abortion, anti-immigration, and of course anti-LGBT rhetoric, using Catholicism and Christianity as its shield. Ordo Iuris does this by challenging groups and/or laws that they perceive as threatening to Polish Catholic values. Of course, Ordo Iuris gained prominence outside of Poland due to their backing of Poland's abortion ban and the LGBT free zones. Aside from being connected to other huge Christian fundamentalist groups around the world, there's also allegations of being tied to the Kremlin, which is ironic considering Poland's massive disdain for Russia. To explain it easier, let's use a comparison. The Akatsuki. Ordo Iuris is the Akatsuki of Poland. The Akatsuki is a group that originally was formed when it was meant to help ensure peace and protection of Amegakure, seeing the horrors and pain the country was left in during and after the Third Shinobi War. However, after the original founder, Yahiko, passed away, Nagato's Akatsuki focused less on the peace and pacifism it can bring, and more so bringing peace through force and fear, becoming mercenaries and attempting to cause mass destruction for humanity to wake up and truly realize peace is what's needed, even if many have to die in the process. One look and it's obvious the parallels between Ordo Iuris and the Akatsuki. Both are groups formed with good intentions to bring peace to a country devastated and broken by countless wars and invasions. But as time went on, they showed their true intentions and their goals to ensure peace by attacking and hurting as many people as possible, whether it be the hidden leaf village of the genjutsu or the women and LGBTQ people of Poland. However, there's a difference. The Akatsuki is actually cool, and I'd like to wear merch of the Akatsuki. I actually like those guys. Oh, and of course, they actually have attractive dudes.
Hey, Shadow.
So where the Akatsuki is cool, Ordo Iuris is not. Ordo Iuris is a threat to human rights in Poland and their freedom of expression, especially with LGBT people. When they collab with conservative parties, tap into Poland's rich Roman Catholic history, and gain support with the rise of fascism in the 21st century, the zones free from LGBT ideology were ready to be established by them and the conservative parties. They didn't want cool fights or very predictable who this is, but they wanted to execute their type of the Moon Plan, which would censor and stigmatize gays, theys, women, immigrants, and boobs, all in an effort to ensure everyone is suppressing their chakra or queerness. So now that we got a background, we need to know, what are the LGBT free zones up to? What were they doing? Well, simple. Censorship and intimidation. The LGBT free zones were meant to prevent any LGBT person from using their chakra or expressing their queerness, not by force, but by intimidation. In a country that already prides itself on conservative values, all that's needed is a hidden green light. With these LGBT free zones, that was the goal, to give homophobes a green light to attack those who showed their queerness in public, or to give them a form of vigilantism whenever they go out and attack queer people in public, to give them validity to their bigotry and target those who fit their bill. Take for example how during Poland, alongside pride parades, there would be counter-protests where instead of simple Christian signs, far-right groups would throw rocks and assault parade attendees. Even newspapers like Gazeta Polska give out stickers that cross out the rainbow and advertises LGBT free zones. These LGBT free zones were less about protecting the children or traditional family values, but rather about isolating and targeting LGBT people, even those who don't express it openly. As after all, no one would dare interrupt Polish values. According to the Malopolska Voivodeship Province website, the declaration stated, translated in English, the Regional Assembly of the Malopolska region expresses its strong opposition to the activities appearing in the public sphere aimed at promoting the ideology of LGBT movements, the goals of which violate fundamental rights and freedoms guaranteed by acts of international law, question the values protected in the Polish constitution, and interfere with the social order. The recent actions taken by some representatives of the local and national political scene are aimed at bringing about fundamental changes in social life. These activities are aimed at annihilating the values shaped by the centuries-old heritage of Christianity, especially important for the inhabitants of Malopolska. As counselors of the Malopolska region, we declare our support for the family based on traditional values and the defense of the education system against LGBT propaganda that threatens the proper development of the young generation. What we can get from this declaration is the fact that LGBT free zones are about not only prioritizing conservatism as the norm among the population, but establishing LGBTQ groups as an enemy. Their open expression, or sometimes private expression of queerness or being who they are, seen as volatile and a threat to Poland, insinuating a sense of shock and offense to the common Polish person. While they aren't saying you can discriminate against LGBT people, they rather you not discriminate against conservative Catholic Polish people, in which you do by being openly gay and showing your queerness. And if you try to challenge it, we'll expect Ordo Iuris to come in and threaten a lawsuit, as the Polish Akatsuki will literally use its donations to start an assault, and with their lawsuit, Manga in the eye! But enough about what they did to the towns. What about LGBT people in Poland? What about those who lived on the outskirts of these LGBT free zones? Or what about those living in the diaspora watching this unfold in their own country? Fear. That's what it tried to do. When Lublin passed its LGBT ideology-free declaration, a youth group wrote in response saying, "The Youth City Council of Lublin expresses its strong opposition to the resolutions passed against the so-called LGBT ideology in local governments in the Lublin Voivodeship. These resolutions have not only symbolic status, but in reality, they constitute a license for homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia in our Voivodeship. We, the youth councils of Lublin, do not consent to this. These resolutions discriminate against non-heteronormative and transgender people, excluding them from local government community. In our opinion, the right to walk safely with someone on the street, holding hands, or to formalize a relationship is not an ideology, but a human right. Everyone is born equal, and as long as they live by the principle of not harming anyone with their behavior, we should support them." This shows that in response, LGBT youth groups in Poland were pressured and now had to resist more, and making their voices heard, realizing that not only is their ability to express themselves authentically is on the line, but also the right to call themselves Polish. That was the name of the game, to separate Polish people from LGBTQ people, not realizing that people can be both. One Polish person I talked to in the diaspora saying they felt upset, they felt unwelcomed by a community they found home in because they were gay, something that tore at them. Hearing the vitriol and bigotry upsetted them, and that's the notion I see, a forceful divorce from their culture. It was meant to make Polish LGBTQ people feel like they had to choose one, being gay or being Polish, and that can hurt anyone. Imagine having to sever one of you to fulfill another side, to feel indifferent when you're no better or worse than others. That's what the LGBT zones meant to do to Polish queer people, hurt them. But I want to bring back a point I mentioned earlier in the video, the efforts, passion, and victories that queer people in Eastern Europe have won. Just like how conservatives mobilized to fight against LGBTQ progress, queer Polish people took up arms for those who left or were scared and fought back. And one major example is the ninja who actually pioneered the phrase LGBT-free zone in the West and brought it to the attention of others worldwide, Bartosz Staszewski. Bartosz is no stranger to LGBTQ activism in Poland, as his first major project was to document Article 18, a documentary about same-sex couples in Poland, and the Article 18 of the Constitution of the Republic of Poland, which forbids the recognition of same-sex marriage. The film documented the lives of same-sex couples in Poland and the struggles they face, whether it was them not being visible or legally recognized under Polish law, or how Polish queer people abandoned Poland to move into EU members that recognize same-sex marriage. The documentary is currently available on YouTube with closed captions in English. However, what really got him international notoriety is his response to the Declaration of Towns free from LGBT ideology. They always say there's a rule of two when media comes around. They do a lot of praying and a lot of fucking. And when the Declarations of Town declared themselves free from LGBT ideology to pray, Staszewski decided to fuck them up immediately. Staszewski started to go to these LGBT-free zones and used ninja art, sign mark jutsu, to mark these towns, posting on his Instagram the towns that declared themselves free from LGBT ideology. On his Instagram, he put the hashtag LGBT-free zones to bring attention and show the world what's going on in Poland, despite multiple threats and slander from Polish homophobes, one being a sitting politician with Law and Justice. Despite the death threats and the slap lawsuits, even given from Ordo Iuris, Staszewski persisted and pushed forward. But Staszewski wasn't the only one who stood up in the fight. In 2019, two Polish activists launched Atlas of Hate, a website that chronicled the zones. By using their ninja arts build tracking jutsu and combining it with their HTML and CSS ninjutsu, they were able to watch and monitor wherever LGBT-free declarations were declared, failed, or introduced in certain parliaments and or communities across Poland. Like Staszewski, they were faced with death threats, lawsuits, and slap suits, but they persisted and showcased the zones for what they are using their ninjutsu. However, the website is different in 2025, as if you can see it now on my screenshot, in comparison to others previous years, it's green. Well, that's because luckily they got appealed. Slowly as the years went on, post-pandemic especially, the LGBT declarations slowly started being repealed back. LGBT ideology declarations slowly lost power, and due to the fighting spirits and chakra of LGBTQ activists speaking out, these zones slowly faded out of Polish politics, especially until this year, April 25th, where officials in land could abolish the last zone, thus bringing an end to this shinobi war against queer Polish people. And while the far right and conservatives may still be in power and hold influence in Poland, while there's a lot, and I mean a lot of homophobia and transphobia still in Poland and Polish culture in the country, Polish LGBTQ people saw the blue bird of freedom and will forever go to fight for a future of equality. You know, researching and reading about all these struggles, seeing how Polish LGBTQ people fare compared to other people I covered, I kept thinking about the history in Poland and how heartbreaking it is for LGBTQ people. As mentioned in the beginning, Poland's history is about resistance and perseverance, even in the darkest times. They survived conflicts like being converted to a puppet state of the Soviet Union, the blunt battles of World War I, to even the darkest times in humanity as being ground zero for the Holocaust and witnessing the massacre and genocide of Jewish people, Romani people, and of course queer people. Poland's existence is a miracle, a blessing and proof for those around the world that you don't have to subscribe to a destiny that's predetermined. As a Puerto Rican, it's awe-inspiring, and I wish we can see an independent Puerto Rico like Poland. You aren't shackled to anything. So I gotta ask, What about them? What about LGBTQ Polish people? Where's their determination? LGBTQ people, whether or not there was a movement or not, they're everywhere and they will always exist. They're the people making documentaries, making websites, organizing events, and being human beings that want to benefit the country of Poland just as much as straight people. A same-sex Polish couple teaching a child the resilient and inspiring history of Poland is no different than a straight one. A trans Polish person working to boost Poland's economy is no different than a cis one. And this goes also for women and immigrants. I don't think any of these people would want to hurt a country that give them home, let alone a country as awe-inspiring as Poland. Doing this video did make me sad. It really was heartbreaking to see a country as amazing as Poland be so homophobic and hateful, how they can distort Christianity and Catholicism as a weapon against minorities, or how a group that knows oppression can enact the same oppression onto others. It's heartbreaking, but it's also inspiring. How LGBTQ Polish people learned from their history. They knew how to combat oppression and authoritarianism. But at the same time, they fought not only because they were proud of being LGBTQ, but because they were proud to be Polish. Fighting is in their blood. They love their country, their nationality, the place they call home. Whenever I see a protest or demonstration, it's clear they not only do it because they're here and queer, but because this country, their country they've seen rise and fall multiple times but always get back up. Their culture they fought for before being lost, and the family and friends they care about, even if they see them as an ideology. They love being gay, but love being Polish. For every sign, for every flow, every piece LGBTQ people create in Poland, they not only blend their queerness, but their heritage. To show the world, no, to show Poland that they're here, they're queer, and they won't go anywhere. People fighting to exist in a country that made it clear they're not welcome, that they hate them, and no matter what, they don't deserve to be authentically happy. A country whose pain and struggles are inspiring, but sometimes used to justify their bigotry. But nevertheless, these people never let the hatred get to them, never let the hatred consume them, and still advocate for peace and coexistence for a country and people they love more than anything. It reminds me of another story I know, a story that I hold dear to my heart, and one that I would believe Polish LGBTQ people would love just as much as I do. The tale of Naruto Uzumaki.
The prodigal son has returned.
Don't tell me it's Naruto again.
It is Naruto again.
Next Saturday at 12:30, Naruto is back.
Here we go.
And this time, it's uncut. Impossible!
That's crazy!
We're starting over at the beginning, and you're invited.
Oh, I'm very grateful.
Because no matter how many times you may have seen Naruto, you've never seen him like this.
Bring it on.
This is gonna be fun.
Others will be wrecked for life, and some of you may go crazy.
I'm going to be greater than any of them. Naruto! A ninja legend!
Naruto. Next Saturday at 12:30.
I am so there!
Believe it.
Cut the stupid tricks! Naruto!
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
There will never be an anime that had an impact on my life quite like Naruto. While I did grow up with Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and of course one of my all-time favorites, Sonic X, Naruto was an anime that left a special mark on me back in 5th grade. Whether it was the cool fight scenes, the amazing ensemble of characters that deserved better, Haruka Kanata being one of my favorite openings ever and being the reason I love Naruto, or just how visually appealing it was to watch in its own way. As cliche as it sounds, Naruto is a reason I became such a big weeb in my life. It sparked my passion for anime. Despite its flaws, its shortcomings, and even its failures, Naruto is a special series. Naruto means a lot to millions of people around the world. There's no telling how big this series has left an impact on anime cons, animation, and Burger King. And for me, this definitely left a big impact in many ways. I still even have my headband from when Toys R Us sold Naruto toys. It was something special for me, something I'll always love with my heart. But growing up, I realized that I feel like what truly made me love Naruto was Naruto himself. Naruto is a character that resonated with me, and to an extent his loving boyfriend Sasuke. Naruto to me represents perseverance, inner strength, peace through inner turmoil, and never giving up. Naruto was a symbol of hope for me, A character that looked death in the eyes and never faltered. A character that showed us his suffering not out of pity, but because he was human. Despite how many times he was called a monster and demon growing up. A character that was able to overcome his burdened life to not only find who he was, but also find connections with the people of Konoha as friends, including his rival and lover Sasuke. I may say I have a lot of heroes in my life, but they each represent something. Sonic was my hero in telling me it's okay to be gay and be yourself. And Naruto was my hero in telling me that no matter what happens or who you are, you can succeed and become who you truly want to be, even if everything is against you. And to be gay. So, why Naruto for this video? Because of this image. At Warsaw Pride in 2023, we see two cosplayers holding a sign, Milosk to ninja uzadi to kolegis brigade, which roughly translates to love for my ninja village and my comrade from the brigade. These Naruto cosplayers not only showing a display of love for not only Narusasu, but pride. In the broader context with the LGBT free zones, the heavy stigma around queerness and chakra, and the threats it can bring, this image is a deeper story. Naruto and Sasuke parallels the struggles of LGBT Polish people. It tells me the fact that Naruto are like LGBTQ Polish people, both shunned from society at large, a place they want to call home, and a place they want to see change for the better. Both learning that people in their lives are worth protecting, and in order to achieve their goal, they gotta look out for the other people in this journey. Both learning that no matter how many times they fail, how dark it can get, or how easy hate can consume them, they're not alone. And they'll never be alone, as long as they never sever the bonds and connections they make. Polish LGBT people can also be like Sasuke. Despite all the pains, the grim reminders of their life, and the darkest their life can take them, they still push on. To heal the wounds that never fully got patched up. To be able to move past the pain, but also reconnecting with the ones you never truly stopped loving. I argue that Sasuke never truly stopped loving Naruto, the one person he was able to connect with. And that's the one thing that Polish conservative parties get wrong. LGBTQ Polish people are like Sasuke because they never stopped loving Poland in favor of being queer. They love their Polish identity as much as they do being gay, trans, and the others. Naruto and Sasuke both can be seen as symbol for queer Polish people. Naruto's desire to help everyone and protect those he cares about, even if they don't realize it yet, and a desire to show the world your true potential so people can no longer see you as the bad guy you are. Sasuke's pain, betrayal by a member of the family, and his sadness and agony of not knowing what to do after learning the truth can resonate with Polish queer people who feel betrayed by their homophobic government. Naruto and Sasuke together are Polish LGBTQ people's struggles and desire. The struggle of rejection, pain, and desire to find your place in a hostile world that already seems so fragile, with the hope for a better world. A hope where you'll never have to worry about destruction to your people and your country, where you no longer have to choose one part of yourself over the other and find coexistence, and the hope that one day we can all return to our home, where we can all walk down Pride together with our Narusasu cosplay, promoting love for our country, and our teammates too. This year, for my birthday, I went to the Naruto Symphonic experience, and what a time it was, seeing the iconic music, the fight scenes that defined who I am, and the beautiful anime series I love so much. But at the same time being there, I couldn't stop thinking about Polish LGBTQ people, the two Polish cosplayers who would have loved to go to these concerts, and to any Polish queer person, they would love Naruto. And there's one Polish person I know who would have loved the concert more than anyone, the Sasuke to my Naruto, platonically, Sissio. Since the beginning of the year, Sissio has had my back, from the moments of post-Sonic 3 depression or my darkest moments this year. We only met in December, but you've always kept DMing me, sending me memes, Sonic stuff, and even Naruto stuff despite me getting you into it. You are an amazing person, and I'm glad we developed into good friends. Here's to eventually going to Anthro, New England with you one day, bro. So thank you. Never stop fighting against the Polish LGBT free zones or any sort of conservatism that tries to attack queer people. And whenever you and your fellow LGBTQ people feel down, or the conservative fundamentalists come to attack you, remember that you have an army of Genin, Chunin, Junin, and many other shinobi gays standing by you in spirit around the world. Never stop being the fighting dreamers Polish people were born to be, and make sure you go. And more importantly, Sissio, you gotta believe it, or as they say in the Polish dub, Kumalski.